Vocal Wah's community organizer Deaunte Damper shares a powerful message about inclusion at the Elevate Black Wellness kickoff.
I grew up Black in Seattle, but I was teased a lot in the Rainier Beach area because I was queer. And then I would go to Capitol Hill where everybody said, that's where my people are, right? And there's a great LGBTQ inclusion, but nothing for Black folks. So the question that I've always had, even now, at times, of where do I fit? I traveled around and I lived life on the up and down. It wasn't until 2013, July 24th, where my whole life changed. At 1:45 that day, I was diagnosed with HIV. And I was so scared because the only thing I thought of was plastic knives, plastic forks, and plastic spoons. Those were the utensils that my cousin, who died of AIDS a year ago, used when he was staying at my grandmother's house. That's the only education that I really had on HIV. So I moved to Philadelphia, thanks to my mother, who said, don't hold on to that narrative. You have to create your own story. And I'm so glad that she was with me in those moments, because I was able to get my education as a peer mentor and move back here to Seattle after 6 years and start educating my community, not just on HIV, but also talking to some of the doctors and some of the community caseworkers about practicing cultural humility, especially when it comes to Black and brown folks, especially in the healthcare system. And I did that for a couple of years. And of course, it led to different organizations and being a part of that space, but educating my community and unlearning and getting out of that area of stigma of where we kind of silo each other. I continue to work in community. Yes, NAACP, yes, chair of BLM. Those things were all great, but the pandemic was something that almost tore me apart. See, I was dealing with something that I really wasn't open about because of, not just because of stigma, just because I thought I would lose everything. I was dealing with addiction. I was dealing with it even in the midst of advocating for my community. And I did not want to go get the help that I needed because I felt as though that if I went to go do that, everyone would give up on me. I would have nothing. There would be nights where I would be going through a drug-induced psychosis. See how when people drive into Seattle downtown and say, what's going on with the neighborhood? I always end up cussing them out because that person was me. But it was my community that reached out to me, that checked in, that called me. I have a good friend by the name of Apple, a good friend named Coriel, that always checked up on me to make sure that I was well, to let me know that it was okay for me to go take care of myself. And as we're listening to this, how many times have you been able to say, I have to stop this pressure because I need to learn how to take care of myself? We've been running rampant in the areas of this pandemic and not knowing when it's okay for us to take care of ourselves rather than everyone else. So I went to treatment. So now I speak here for the community members that are out in Seattle that are going through homelessness. I'm talking about policy change, about community members that are impacted by substance use. I'm screaming for the inclusion of towards not just our counterparts, but to the Black Diaspora. If we are advocating for Black and brown folks, that is included our LGBTQIA community members. We don't other them. They are us. We are them. Sometimes we speak in these spaces of being in elitism, as if we are too grand to not be in the same spaces of where they're at. We need to be in a space of being inclusive. We need to be in a space where we are elevating each other in our space. And I'm so happy for Momentum because we are giving each other access to wellness. And I encourage you, if you see someone out there that is impacted or going through, or if you see your city council representatives, you talk to them about what you think wellness looks like. Bring them into the next Momentum conversation, because trust me, I'm gonna be with them and we got a lot to say. But I work for an organization called Vocal Washington, Voice of Community Activists and Leaders, where we seek to bring political power to community members that have been impacted by HIV, substance use, mass incarceration, and homelessness. And throughout that space, throughout the state, encouraging the community members that have been impacted in that space to ask them, to ask the experts, how do we lift you up in this space? Creating candidate forums around this state, not with city council representatives or old folks. We are bringing the lived experiences to the forefront of the conversation. So that's pretty much what I have, but there is more. There is more because Momentum has already created the space. You are a part of the elevated wellness. So please keep on looking out for emails from Momentum, because it's exactly what it is. We are going to be picking it up when it comes to talking about health in our communities. The question is, are you ready? And what will you be able to do with it?